First People is not assimilation. It is to work together. And the Conservatives, and you only have to read Tom Flanagan to understand this, said, no, we're going back to a policy that has failed by over 500 years. We're going to try to assimilate. Well, let me tell you, when you look at where this country is going, we are not going to try to erase the culture and the identity and the tradition of the Aboriginal. This is a moral question. This is an ethical question. C'est une question de moralité, d'éthique. C'est une question de voir notre pays, de comprendre ce que nous sommes comme Canadiens et Canadiennes. But it's also an economic question. We're 33 million people. We're in a competition with the world. China has 1,200,000,000 people. India has the same thing. The United States has 400 million to the southeast. China graduates more engineers every single year than Canada has as a whole. Young Aboriginals, whether they be First Nations, Métis, or Inuit, are the youngest and the fastest growing segment of our population. We cannot afford to waste one iota of talent. How are we going to compete with the rest of the world with 33 million people that we're prepared to say 1,000,003, the youngest, the fastest growing segment of our population that they don't count? We're not going to make it happen. You want to talk about the economy? Well, I spent a certain amount of my time on that, and I'll tell you that the strongest part of an economy comes from the people who make it work. And you don't abandon the youngest and the fastest growing segment of our population if what you want to do is to take on the rest of the world. La raison pour laquelle je suis ici. Why did I want to talk about it? Aboriginal Canadians represent 50% of the young people in terms of where they come from and what they see. 50% of Aboriginals are under the age of 25. 50, that'd make a heck of a big young liberal club, let me tell you. 50% of Aboriginals are under the age of 25. That's your generation. That's not my generation. It's yours. The reason that I wanted to be here was twofold. One is to say to you, the young Liberals of Canada, to say to the Aboriginal Commission, who is also run, the new president, Jeff Hoban, is a former young Liberal. He may be too old to be a young Liberal, I'm not sure. He looks old. But the fact of the matter is that there is now an opportunity as never before for the Aboriginal Commission of Canada to come together with the young Liberals of Canada, the youngest generation in this country, to say that what they're going to do now is to pick up the challenge. They're going to make this country better because what they're going to do is to recognize the tremendous contribution that Aboriginal Canadians can do if they're only given a chance. What Kelowna said, just let me give you one in terms of education. What Kelowna did was to simply recognize that you cannot discriminate in terms of health care, in terms of child care, in terms of early learning, and in terms of education between Canadians. Here in the province of Alberta, if you go to an Aboriginal school, a First Nation school on reserve, your funding from the federal government is 30% less on a per capita basis than if you go to a high school funded by the provincial government. Now, you go to these schools, I've been to them. You go to an on-reserve school, half of them don't have labs, half of them the teacher turnover is year by year, the teachers are underfunded. You go to an on-reserve high school, and what you do is to begin to understand the discrimination against Aboriginals in terms of education compared to what we provide other Canadians. And this story that Aboriginals are given all kinds of money which is wasted, I'll tell you what they're doing. They're given 30% less funding for education. They're not given the same amount of money for health care. They're not given the same amount of money for learning and child care. And that's wrong. We're not going to build a country to move it that way. And that is what Kelowna was all about. Alors, je suis ici simplement pour vous dire, vous les jeunes libéraux, demandez de travailler avec les autochtones de notre pays. I would really ask you, the young liberals who are the conscience of this party, you, the young liberals, who have consistently, down through the generations, ever since I've been involved in the Liberal Party, who have understood that the future of the party lies in your hands, and that the future of this country lies in the way in which you are going to take the Liberal Party. I'm asking you to pick up the cudgel. I'm asking you to work with the Aboriginal Commission. We're going to bring back, Michael Ignatieff is going to win the next election. That's not going to be enough. There has to be an understanding between Canadians what makes this country. We are all an Aboriginal people, whether we come from Europe, we come from Asia, or whether we come from a time immemorial on this land. We now live here in the northern part of North America. And we are different because of the Aboriginal heritage in this land. And let's understand that. And let's be proud of it. And let's build on it. There's nobody who can do that better than the young Liberals of Canada. So let's win the election. Let's make Michael Prime Minister. But let's never forget the fact who we are, where we come from. And let's take that message to the people of Canada.